Okay, I think we're just about ready to get started here. I'd like to welcome everybody to the new Hazelcast developer experience with 5.0. Very excited to have you guys all joining today. My name is John Desjardins. I am the CTO here at Hazelcast, and this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. Really, it's all about the developers, the users of Hazelcast. You are really the bread and butter of what makes this successful. And so today we're going to be talking about that. But first, in terms of logistics, this is actually being recorded and it's going to be also live streamed. So that's something relatively new for us, is live streaming onto YouTube with this event today. So we're really trying to make it easier for you to consume all of our content and interact with us. And it's just another dimension of that. At the same time, I want to let everyone know that you will be muted. So please put your questions into the chat or Q&A, and we will either take them as they come along or else address them at the end. And if we run out of time, we'll just cover those in a follow-up email. The recording of today's event will also be shared via email with all of the attendees. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and kick off. And today I'm being joined by two incredibly important members of our team, Luke Kilpatrick, who is our new Senior Director of Developer Experience, and Nicholas Frankel, and I think it's actually Nicola, who is our developer advocate and really the passionate voice of the developer for Hazelcast. So we're excited to have all of you coming today live, both from the US and from the United Kingdom. So this is also a truly global event. I want to start with our vision, because I always think it's to ground ourselves with the vision of Hazelcast. This is what makes us tick, why we come to work every day. It's empowering the world to act instantaneously on data everywhere. We truly believe that this is a technology that broadly applies to developers around the world and the problems that they are facing. We think it's more important that you not only know information and instantaneously respond to data, but that you can act on it, that you can build applications that respond instantaneously. Our heritage has always been instantaneous, fast, low latency. We focused on streaming and stored data, which we talked quite a bit about at our 5.0 initial launch event. And of course, everywhere we run everywhere from cloud to data center to edge. Today, I'm going to give a quick update. Really, the main things that I'm announcing are Hazelcast 5.0 is now generally available. So we're incredibly excited about that. You're going to hear more about Hazelcast 5.0 from Nicola. And but fundamentally, we encourage you guys all to start really using this thing, this powerful platform, and being ready to actually put your applications into production. It's been in beta for quite some time, and now it's a very solid GA release. And then, we're also launching, and have just launched this week, a completely revised user experience in our cloud that has got a lot of usability enhancements and better just kind of the ways of laying out a lot of the functionality. But one of the other big exciting things about the cloud is that the enterprise version or tier of our cloud is now available on a self-serve pay-as-you-go basis. So for you developers, you don't have to talk to a salesperson. You can just put in a credit card and immediately get access to our full enterprise offering. At the same time, we also have in our standard tier the free $200 credit for everyone who tries that. So those are the big highlights for me. I really encourage everyone to try both our cloud offering and the new GA 5.0 platform. And with that, I'm going to really turn it over to Luke and Nicola to talk about our developer experience and more about the 5.0 offering. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Luke.
Unmute. Hello, everybody. And I'm just going to share the screen here. And we are going to PowerPoint. So, hi there. I'm Luke Kilpatrick. I joined Hazelcast fairly recently to lead the developer experience program here. And now, developer experience is a little bit of a new thing, and it's something that not everybody aware of. But so I want to explain a little bit about what developer experience is. So people are familiar with developer relations. Developer relations, you have your evangelists, you have form support. We're really there to help you solve the problems that the software interaction that you're working with. And then we've also had the long of developer marketing. You know, they run their events, the webinars like this. They're very leads focused and about training, and usually found in the .com space. So, but developer experience is the merging of these two things together so that you have one team that's trying to basically make the developer experience better. And that's the goal here at Hazelcast, is getting the better developer experience, both with Hazelcast and integrating Hazelcast within the other parts of your application. So how are we going to do that? One, we're going to start with a developer homepage. This is something that I'm working on right now. Goal is to have it up in the next few weeks so that you have a landing page to get started with Hazelcast that's very quickly to get to the documentation, the blogs, the tutorials, the stuff that you need. Rather than finding out what Hazelcast is, we assume you know that. You just want to get your job done. And so the developer portal is going to be that launch point with good search, code samples, details about the events that we got upcoming, and that's what it's going to be about. Please, happy to have feedback. We have our Slack community channel that's very important to us. Hopefully some of you are watching from that. We just posted the YouTube link in there. And it's a way to get that two-way communication. So please feel free to message me on Slack, send me an email. Really interested in getting feedback on how to improve the developer experience with Hazelcast. And that being said, we've got another thing that we're starting to kick off is a Twitch channel. Right now, we're just doing this webinar on our traditional Zoom system with a broadcast on YouTube. But the hope is in the future, we're going to start doing live streaming with Twitch with events more often. So we're hoping to have weekly live coding sessions from our engineers. We're hoping to do some podcasting with it. We're going to be doing various different conversations and panelists with industry experts. So we're calling our Twitch channel The Hazelcast, and we're going to be doing some great things there. So that's the stuff there. A couple of other things that we're working on. One of the big things about developer experience, I think we've had a great experience. If you're a Java developer with Hazelcast, there's been great amounts of support and work and tutorials and training. And one of our goals with developer experience is to expand that out to other languages with a first focus on .NET and Python. Those are the two ones that we're going to be targeting. So look for content coming out in the next month or so, or even sooner, to help get you started with, if you're a Python developer or a .NET developer. And we're going to be building more of that over time to really take advantage of that. Another thing that we're going to be working on is we're hoping to have some more tooling and reference infrastructure and things so that you can get running and started with Hazelcast faster. So these types of things are going to in development, and we're going to have them in the developer site. We've also got some new labs, some different test stuff to show. So we've got some really great and exciting things with new technologies to come into the developer world for you guys to play with and let us know and give us your feedback. So that's kind of where I'm at, where we're working with going forward with the developer experience program. We got this just the start of it. We've got lots of things to do and lots of things to go, but it's going to be a good ride. And I really want to hear feedback of what you want to see and what you need to see from Hazelcast and how we can better serve you. So without further ado, I want to hand this over to Nicola, and he can tell you about Hazelcast 5.0.
Hi, folks. This was Magic. This was Luke. I'm here. This is not a Zoom background. This is actually, we are co-located in a real office. Hi, everybody. I hope you are well. We are broadcasting live from both sides of the Atlantic, which is nice. Perhaps next time we will be over the Pacific as well in Asia. So this is about Hazelcast 5.0. I hope that you're already aware of that. And this is our agenda for today. I want to talk a bit about the merging of the IMDG and the chat. Then I will talk and even demo some stuff about SQL, and I also have a few words about contact serializations. Stuff that is non-open source, I mentioned here, but I won't highlight. So we have improvements in our management center and also regarding persistence. The first big thing that happened in Hazelcast 5.0 is the merge. So we merge Hazelcast Chat and Hazelcast IMDG. So now there is a single product Hazelcast platform that can do everything. And actually, the fun part is that Hazelcast Chat could do already everything because it embedded IMDG. So that was a bit strange that on one side we had a product, Hazelcast platform, Hazelcast, and then it was embedded in the other product, Hazelcast Jet, and then it allowed you to do the same stuff. So the idea is we merged everything, and now it's much easier because before you had like perhaps clusters of Jet nodes and clusters of like normal IMDG nodes, and that was a mess. Now everything is the same. So when you run, whether it's like streaming or in-memory data storage, you will run on the same cluster. So one single experience with both capabilities. The default cluster name is now dev. So you can forget about the cluster name Jet. It was just so that they wouldn't like create a cluster between IMDG nodes and Jet nodes. Now we have a single cluster. And again, it's not an issue that you can create cluster because it's a single platform that has both capabilities. Note that for different reasons, streaming is disabled by default in the jar. So if you are using Jet from the jar, you will need to enable it explicitly through configuration. However, if you use the zip distribution or the star distribution or any of the Docker image, it's enabled. So only if you use it from the library, then you will need to enable it explicitly. There is a slight change in the API. Now we need to call the Hazelcast. It's not jet.something. You say Hazelcast, new Hazelcast instance or Bootstrap instance. And then from there, you can get the Jet service. So this is a slight change. It's deprecated, so it will still compile if you are migrating, but we, of course, encourage you to migrate to the new API as soon as possible. Regarding the distributions, there are two kinds of distribution. There is the slim distributions, and it's great if you know exactly what you are doing. So we provide you with Hazelcast itself, config files, and the scripts. And then everything else you need to configure by yourself. Again, if you know what you are doing, that's perfectly fine because we provide you with the smallest brick possible, and then you add only what's necessary. If you want to start playing, if you are less experienced, then we also have a full distribution, and it includes everything, including the SQL capabilities, the Jet extensions, management center, and all the necessary plugins. As you can see, there is a huge size difference, so be careful that, yeah, only use the full if you're just less experienced. If you already have more experience, then I encourage you to use the slim distribution and add only on top of it what you require. Now comes the fun parts. SQL. Before, it was like you needed to learn a new API to query your IMDG. Now we've added since some time already SQL capabilities. the only thing that you need is to add an additional jar on the class path of your member. So server side, that might come as a surprise. So the SQL happens server side. You can still send SQL queries and statements from the clients, but if you miss this jar, then you will have a problem at runtime. It's very easy. If you have the Hazelcast command line, which I hope you have, you just say hey, hz like dash CLI SQL, then it will open a SQL command line, and you can type, well, whatever SQL you want to query your cluster, to query your maps, and got some nice results. So this is very nice. Now you've got the full SQL experience out of the box. And well, we have added a lot of new stuff into Hazelcast 5. So I wouldn't say, I cannot say that we are fully NC, I don't remember which one, SQL compatible, but now we've got a lot of expressions that we support. And well, again, I encourage you to try them. We are working to complete them. So again, to add more capabilities to the SQL API. But I believe this is already like the bulk of what you probably are doing. There is a requirement, and I must say that there was a bit of back and forth between this one, is that at the moment, we require you to create the mapping explicitly. And well, there are a lot of reasons for that, but you might have be bitten before, like you were using, I don't know, Elasticsearch, and you try to index some data, and this data is indexed, and the index is created according to the first line of data. And if there is an issue, if the second line of data doesn't exactly conform with the same types, then afterwards it's a mess and you need to destroy the index. So to avoid that, we prefer that you explicitly create the mapping. Again, it might change in the future, but right now we are pretty much 80% sure that it's the right way to do that. Note that if you want to use SQL, there is a requirement, and you need to enable JET. You need to enable the streaming engine. Without it, it won't work because we use it internally. Well, I've talked about SQL. I just want to show it a bit. So let's switch to the terminal. And I hope it still works. I still hope you can see my screen, because yes, here you can see. Can somebody confirm that?
Absolutely, we can see your screen. It looks perfect.
Amazing. So I will start Hazelcast nodes, and because I installed the CLI, it's just like hz space start, and now I have not created, and I could start multiple other nodes just as the same way. Then, as I mentioned, I will do the same here. I will use the CLI and I will use SQL. And now, normally, I should have like a SQL prompt. And let's say I can select. So since I started from like an empty cluster, I believe that here I have nothing. So it tells me, hey, I don't find it. So probably you forgot to create the mapping. And now, because I'm super lazy, and also I will need to do a copy paste because I never remember the exact syntax here. And now I create the mapping. So now I create a person map with the key of type int and the value of type varchar. And now I can do the same as before. I can, no, I cannot do that. I need to select star from person. Now I have the mapping, but of course I didn't insert anything into it, so it returns me an empty table. And let's do that again with SQL. I can insert into person values, values. I don't remember values. Values. One, and let's say Jandu. And I can do the same with Jandu. And of course, now the key should be different. And now I can again do the selects. And now it gets me the result. And of course, I can select only the keys. So select key from person. I can select the value from person. Like this. Well, you understand the point. So right now you've a seamless experience. You don't need to know the complete Hazelcast API. You can give that tool to your analysts. If you've got the right data, they can start making queries and you can get data out of your image. And that's the demo. Oh, perhaps I can, though I told differently, perhaps I can show also the management center. So let's do that. I mean, we still have time, so I can show you the management center. So localhost 8080, not this one. Sorry, I was working on something else at the same time. So now I need to Docker compose down. And I will need to restart management center because I bound it on the default port, which is 8080. And the 8080 port was already bound. So much better. And now if I go there, and now I have my friend, the management center, I will put it at the right size, admin. And now, and this is highlighted actually, we've got this SQL browser. So you actually don't need the command line. You can just select the map that you want to query. And here we can see this person. And we can execute the query. And this is exactly the same results that I had. And of course, we can do exactly the same that we did before, like key. And this. So this is going to be much, much easier. You've got management center, you can use it. You've got the CLI, you can use it. Just use SQL. And again, if you've got anything that is missing regarding your current use case, then please give us feedback. And the more feedback we have, the more we can prioritize what you really, really want and need. So something that is, in my opinion, really, really important at the Hazelcast is implemented in Java. And for this reason, we have been very, very focused on Java since the beginning. And we've got a lot of integration with a lot of Java frameworks and whatever. But if you want to use Hazelcast coming from a Python or a .NET or a C# background, it's a bit harder. And one of the reasons is that the data that we serialize is actually, it's much easier if you are on the JVM. So now we provide you with a generic no-code serialization. You don't need to write any Java interface. It's by default, you've got this. And we believe that it will make this much easier for you to use Hazelcast if you are not on the JVM. Just note that there are several like serialization strategies. And this one will be the default fallback. So if you provide something explicitly, it will take precedence. So if you like use nothing, then we will use this generic no-code serialization. Note that this is in beta right now. So again, use it. Please provide us feedback. We believe it's pretty solid already, but we need more usage to really like go deeper. As I mentioned, no need to implement an interface. Everything is done for you. Something that I didn't mention is that one of the problem when you start to store data is at some point your schema will probably need to migrate. So you can use a NoSQL database for that, but we believe that we actually have value in the structure. So you can easily evolve the schema with these like serialization, this like generic serialization. And perhaps you are aware of generic records. The generic records is actually a way to get data in like out of the cluster in a way that you don't need the class on the class path. So if you have a class person that was like serialized and put in the cluster, you can get it out of the cluster through a generic record. Of course, you won't get the format of the person, but you can still get the data out without having this like class path exception. And it works very well with compact serialization. Compact serialization, because it's a beta feature, is disabled by default. So you need to be aware of that. And if you want to use it, to enable it. And as I mentioned, it's the last in the chain of serializers. So don't provide anything and it will be the fallback. So thanks a lot for your attention. Perhaps there are some questions. And I will be joined by Luke.
Yep. Hello. So we got a couple questions. So we'll just put these in first. Is create mapping new for all maps, or does this only apply to JET?
No, the create mapping stuff happens. The create mapping is not for JET, so it's not for the data streaming. It's for the data that is actually in the cluster. So if you want to query your data through SQL, then you need to create the mapping first.
Okay. Is the SQL or SQL API programmable?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
No, that's fine. If in the chat, if you could give us a little more clarification.
I think they're asking about, like a user-defined function concept, which I believe we have in the roadmap. If that's what they're asking about, that is something in the works, and we'd be happy to talk to anybody about roadmap who has ideas on where we should be heading. We want to get as much input on that as possible.
Okay. And I got one more from YouTube.
No, they're asking programmatically or through the CLI. So yeah, it would be possible to leverage the SQL from your different languages. That there are examples of that in the documentation. And we also have a JDBC driver that we're I think just announced the updated version recently. So you should, you're welcome to use either JDBC or, the different clients can also access the SQL API, and it's in the docs.
Okay, I think this might be more of a support question. I got a 503 error when entering localhost 8080. Any way to fix? I think that's probably something better if you want to join our community Slack channel to give us a little bit more detail, and we can try and help you out with that there rather than trying to solve that here live.
That's going to be before, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put that out into the Slack or other community forums, and someone will definitely respond on that one.
Question just come to the YouTube channel. Any Spring Data support?
Actually, we already have Spring Data support. There's nothing new.
Cool. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, but it's not related to 5.0.
So
the next question on the chat was, can the SQL be used from Java Hibernate JPA? We do have Hibernate support in the product, but I don't believe that that's necessarily directly tied to the SQL feature. So that could be something to explore. I don't know, Nicholas, you have any
Um,
Any thoughts on that?
Can the Hazelcast SQL be used from Java Hibernate? Well, the idea if you use Hibernate or GPA is not to use SQL. So in that case, you would be using Java Hibernate with the JDBC driver and GPA, but you will be limited because, of course, we don't have joins. I mean, this is Hazelcast. This is a key value store. So I really want to understand the use case before answering. Like, yes, you could potentially do it, but probably you should remove Hibernate GPA and just use SQL directly in that case. I don't see the use case behind it.
Yeah, I think that's one to maybe take offline as well. We're all on the Slack channel, and of course, we also will be sharing a presentation deck that will have our contact information following this as well.
One more question I saw come through in the QA is, can you guys talk a little bit about any performance difference between 4.0 and 5.0? Has there been performance improvements or anything like that?
John, I leave it up to you.
Yeah, in general, Hazelcast 4 actually had better performance than previous releases. So I'd want to, in terms of this specific GitHub issue, that probably is something that could be asked on the Slack channel. But we of course do try to resolve any issues that are raised against GitHub, particularly performance or anything critical. So I would say definitely bring that up on the Slack channel, and someone will get back to you. Question on how the performance of the new serialization compares with Avro and Cryo. I don't know that I've seen any specific, benchmarking comparisons, but in general, I think it's very comparable in terms of good performance compared to other, cross-language serialization formats.
Actually, if I remember well, I didn't see any benchmark, but I remember that the engineers, they didn't want to invent a new format because, hey, we can do it. But there were a couple of reasons why we chose not to use this existing serialization format. And if I remember well, it was that it was not as cross-platform as we wanted it to be. But Jim, you're running on the community Slack, if I remember well. So if you want to dig in further, you can ping me, and I can find what I can disclose, because that's an interesting question. I don't have enough now on the top of my head to answer correctly.
Yeah, it's also very kind of use case specific. Some serialization formats are very good for one language. Others are good in terms of being cross language. Others are better when you're trying to query versus other types of usage patterns. So the new format is designed really to give you a lot of flexibility with great performance and also efficient use of memory. We looked at all of the existing serialization formats that were out there. There was quite a lot of research done before we came up with the one we've introduced.
This will be our last one. Advantages and disadvantages of IMAP API versus SQL. Hazelcast SQL versus RDBMS.
That's a good question, actually. Do you want to answer this one, John?
Well, I think the API, obviously is very efficient for retrieving objects. That's what the key value API is for. If you're wanting to query into the data, then, I think you're going to find that the new SQL engine is going to be the best way to do that. However, comparing our SQL to an RDBMS, we're still a key value database and, optimized for that kind of pattern. And so, we're not trying to become a relational database. We are, definitely starting to look like a more complete NoSQL database, if you will. And the SQL API gives you the ability to query into the data that's in the Hazelcast platform. And we're continuing to enhance the product in these areas. But again, I would definitely not sort of, compare us to a RDBMS in terms of we're definitely not trying to move towards any kind of parity or comparable functionality to MySQL or Postgres. All right, well, I think those are all the questions. So if there are any more that we didn't capture, we can probably circle back offline on those. When you get, the recording, I'll also make sure that we provide some slides that have our contact details. And of course, you can just reach us on the Slack channel right away.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Lee Kilpatrick, Nicola Franco, and John Desjardins. Thank you for everybody for coming on both YouTube and Zoom. And we're hoping to be doing these on a more regular cadence going forward. So we look forward to talking to you at the next one. If you have any topics to suggest, please drop us an email or put it into the Slack channel. I'd love to learn what you want to learn more about.
Yeah, absolutely. Put in the ideas into the Slack channel. And by the way, also, we're going to be getting back to face-to-face events again. So if you have an interest in a face-to-face event in your town, reach out to us, and COVID constraints willing, we'll try to figure out a way to make it out there and talk to people face-to-face. We miss that. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.